A hot girl is sunbathing. She steps right into the sand. There's something strange in it. Her foot gets stuck. The next moment, her hands are pulled in two. No matter how hard she tries, she can't pull herself free. Freaking out, she starts yelling for help. Her boyfriend hears her cries and rushes over. Ignoring their friends who try to stop him, he runs straight toward her. But before he goes far, a tentacle shoots out of the sand, grabs his leg, and pulls him into the sand. Their friend tosses him a lifesaver, but he can't move at all. They can only watch in horror as the sand devours both of them alive. They want to call for help, but then remember they locked their phones into the back trunk of the car at last night's party. Jonah tries to start the car to leave, but the battery is completely drained. Mitch suggests that no one touches the sand for now, but Kaylee wants to know the truth. Gilbert wakes up and finds himself stuffed into a trash can. He tries to climb out, but his friend shouts to stop him. They tells him about the two people already dead here, despite the unbearable pain in his lower body. Gilbert is too scared to make another move. While waiting, everyone tries to figure out what happened. They remember a strange fleshy ball near the fire last night. Of course, when you see a disgusting goo ball, the first thing you gotta do is play with it, instead of calling police. Now they realize it was an egg, and the monster was hatched by the heat of the fire. Kaylee suddenly has a clever idea. She grabs a sausage and tosses it into the distance. At first, everyone thinks she's just wasting food, but when the sausage lands far away without being eaten, they realize the monster is only active in this part of the sand. If they can reach the other side, they might survive, but it's too far away. How are they supposed to cross the sand? Jonah comes up with a solution: surfboards. He places one on the sand and steps onto it carefully. He moves another board in front of him and slowly makes his way toward the table. Everything seems to be going smoothly, until tentacles burst out of the sand and go straight for Jonah's stomach. Jonah channels his inner Tarzan and leaps onto the table. His stomach is bleeding heavily, but he holds on and starts searching the picnic bags. He picks it up instinctively and realizes something strange. The monster doesn't attack him. Curious, he holds the banana near the bonfire and finds the monster avoids it. This proves the monster is afraid of fire. To test it further, he jumps onto the cooling bonfires. Sure enough, the monster doesn't dare get close. Jonah starts to share his food with his friends. But things get worse. The monster evolves. The surfboards on the sand are gone. Its tentacles even have slashed the car's tires. Ronnie steps up to take a risk. She decides to open the trunk of the car, get her phone and call the police. Carefully, she steps onto the car's bumper, with one hand holding onto Chanda, the other inserting the key into the car. Just as she's about to grab the phones, a police car drives by the beach. Her screams get the attention of the police officer and he drives right over. They shouts to warn him about the monster in the sand. The officer doesn't believe them and gets out of his car. Surprisingly, nothing happens to him. Turns out he's wearing thick-soled shoes, so he's safe for now. The officer approaches Gilbert, who's still stuck in the trash can. He tries to pull him out, but the officer accidentally drops his keys onto the sand. When he bends down to pick them up, the sand latches onto his hand and won't let go. They yells at him to use pepper spray. Although the officer manages to escape, he bleeds out, collapsing on the beach. Kaylee has to take the pepper spray from the officer, leaving him to be dragged under. Mitch comes up with a plan. He suggests wrapping towels around their feet and running off the beach as fast as possible. He asks Chanda to throw him a towel. When he catches it, he loses his balance and falls over the railing. They can only watch as the sand consumes him, leaving nothing but a human-shaped bloodstain. Losing another friend devastates everyone, but Kaylee realizes they have to leave immediately. If they don't, they'll either starve or be eaten alive. Kaylee pulls apart the railings from the stairs. Chanda throws the pieces onto the sand to form a bridge. She jumps onto the car. Surprisingly,
That's for screwing my boyfriend.
seriously, so many people have died in front of you. You still talking about how she slept with your boyfriend or something? Anyway, they carefully moves along the railing, but as Ronnie makes her escape, she loses her footing and falls. The sand swallows her whole. Chanda wraps a towel around her feet and sprints to the car. For a moment, it seems like they're safe. The monster shifts its attention to Gilbert, who's been bleeding for hours in the trash can. The blood excites the creature. It climbs into the trash can, dragging Gilbert underground. Kaylee and Chanda survive until nightfall. Kaylee spots an inflatable valve in the car, throws it onto the sand, and inflates it into a raft. The raft becomes a bridge between the car and the picnic table. Together, they help Jonah into the car, just as Kaylee is about to climb inside. Glowing tentacles emerge from the sand. She unties 2 barrels of gasoline from the back of the car.
Thirsty?
With a match, she sets the gasoline on fire. Kaylee jumps into the car as the tentacles try to pry the door open. But the monster, weakened and injured, fails to get inside. The 3 finally survive the night. Exhausted, they falls asleep. The next morning, a passerby finds them and wakes them up. Seeing the stranger, Chanda is shocked. Kaylee cautiously steps onto the sand, realizing the monster is gone. Kaylee and Chanda help each other off the deadly beach, but Jonah succumbs to his injuries and dies. As they leave, the monster slithers away toward another beach, hunting for its next victims. This story ends here. Do you still want to go to the beach after watching this film?
The woman collecting her first urine of the day and gently applying it to her face, allowing the liquid to seep into every inch of her skin. Despite being 80 years old, she appears to be 60. Even though the urine's odor irritates her daughter, she steadfastly continues her unusual routine. One day, she encountered her newly moved-in neighbor at the store. Not only handsome but also witty, the woman was instantly smitten. Later, she couldn't resist stealing glances at him from her window. Little did she expect that the neighbor's new girlfriend, despite being a year older, appeared a decade younger. Consequently, she recommended her plastic surgery clinic to her. The woman, persuaded by the doctor, signed the surgery consent form on the spot, unaware that this was just the beginning of her tragic tale. In the operating room, the woman is wheeled in, noticing butterfly tattoos on the hands of the doctor and assistant. Strange incantations accompany the surgery, but soon, anesthesia leaves her unconscious. After that, the old woman transforms into a mummy. Witnessing her mother's occult transformation, the daughter angrily departs from home. After the daughter left, the old woman suddenly heard incantations, and illusions appeared before her eyes. The following day, the elderly woman visits the hospital, curious about when she can remove the bandages, but the doctor advised her not to rush, and invited her to an evening gathering. As night approaches, at the moment when the doctor unveils the bandages, the old woman is left in shock. The woman looks at herself in the mirror, astonished to find she's transformed into a pig. This shatters the old woman momentarily, but the next second, she's pulled to the stage by a man. Surrounding people suddenly chant an incantation, identical to what she heard during the surgery. It turns out they are all followers of a cult, and the old woman is the chosen sacrifice. Seeing the long knives in their hands, she panics and tries to run, but is soon surrounded. The female doctor, wielding a long knife, thrusts it straight through the old woman's abdomen. Then she was stabbed by others into a beehive. When the daughter is brought in, she mournfully weeps at her mother's lifeless body, but the doctor reveals that she, too, is a cult member. Only then does the daughter recall the necklace left by her grandmother is shaped like a butterfly, and thus, the daughter becomes a part of the cult. Thank you for watching till the end. Creating videos isn't easy. If you enjoyed this one, feel free to give us a super thanks. We'll work hard to bring you more interesting videos.